Welcome back, episode number 4, last one, crime scene investigation. Crime scene investigation is one of the most critical stages in any forensic case. It is where evidence is first discovered, documented, and preserved. Everything can happen later in the laboratory or courtroom depends on how well the crime scene was processed. Crime scene investigation is not random or rushed. It follows a structural, methodical process designed to protect evidence and uncover the truth. A single mistake at the scene can compromise the entire case, which is why investigators must be precise, patient, and systematic. This episode, I'll explain how crime scenes are secured, how investigators determine the types of scenes they are dealing with, the different search patterns used to locate evidence, how scenes are documented, and how evidence is collected and why a final review is essential before leaving the scene. Securing the scene. The first priority of any crime scene is to safely secure it. First responders, such as police officers or emergency personnel, must ensure there's no immediate danger to themselves or other. Once the scene is safe, the focus shifts on preserving evidence. Investigators establish boundaries using crime scene tape, barriers, or physical markers. These boundaries create a controlled area where access is limited, only authorized personnel are allowed inside the scene, and everyone who enters must be documented. Limiting access is essential because crime scene is extremely fragile. Footprints, fingerprints, fibers, and biological evidence can easily be destroyed or contaminated. Well-intentioned actions such as moving objects or touching surfaces can even compromise evidence. Investigators also determine whether the scene is primary or secondary crime scene. A primary crime scene is where the crime actually occurred. A secondary crime scene is any location that might contain related evidence such as vehicle or disposal site. Identify all relevant scenes is crucial to understanding the full scope of the crime. Preliminary scene survey. Once the scene is secured, investigators conduct a preliminary scene survey. This is an initial walkthrough where investigators get an overview of the scene without disturbing evidence. During the survey, investigators identify potential evidence, note obvious patterns or disturbances, and consider what resources may be needed. They also form preliminary ideas about what occurred, but these ideas remain flexible and evidence-based. The purpose of preliminary surveys is not to draw conclusions, but to plan the investigation strategically. It helps investigators decide which search methods to use and which area requires the most attention. Search patterns. After the preliminary survey, investigation begins a systematic search for evidence. Because evidence can be small and easily overlooked, search patterns are used to ensure thorough coverage of the scene. Different search patterns are chosen based on the size and type of scene. The grid search pattern is commonly used for a large outdoor area. Investigators search in straight lines in one direction, then repeat the process at a right angle. This method increases the likelihood of finding small evidence. The spiral search pattern is often used in smaller or confined spaces. Investigators move in a spiral path inward or outwards from a center point. The line or strip search pattern is useful when multiple investigators are available. Each person searches a designated strip of the scene. Selecting the correct search pattern is essential. An improper search can result in a missed evidence which can never be recovered. Scene documentation. Before any evidence is collected, the crime scene must thoroughly documented. Documentation preserves the scene exactly as it was found and allows investigators to reconstruct it later. Photograph is one of the most important documentation tools. Investigators take overall photographs to capture the entire scene, mid-range photographs to show evidence in relation to surrounding objects, and close-up photographs to capture details. Sketches also create a record measurable and spatial relationship. Unlike photographs and sketches, it also includes distance and position, which is critical in reconstruction. Written notes document observation, conditions, times, and actions taken. Together, photographs, sketches, and notes create a complete and reliable record of the scene. Evidence collection. When documentation is complete, evidence collection begins. Evidence is collected carefully and systematically to prevent contamination or loss. Investigators typically collect the most fragile evidence first. This evidence includes biological evidence such as blood, bodily fluids, or trace evidence like fiber and hair. These materials can degrade quickly if not preserved properly. Each piece of evidence is packaged separately in appropriate containers. For example, biological evidence may be placed in a breathable package to prevent moisture buildup, while sharp objects are secured to prevent injury. Every item is labeled with identification information logged to maintain chain of custody. Proper tracking and labeling ensures evidence remains intact and traceable. Contamination prevention. Preventing contamination is consistent concern at a crime scene. Investigators wear gloves, protective clothing, and sometimes masks to avoid transferring their own DNA or fibers to the scene. Tools are cleaned or replaced between evidence collection, and packaged materials are handled carefully. These precautions protect the integrity of the evidence and ensure that the laboratory results are accurate. Chain of custody connection. From the moment evidence is collected, chain of custody procedures are followed. Each transfer of evidence is documented, creating a clear record of who handled it and when. This documentation is essential for courtroom presentation. Without complete chain of custody, evidence may be challenged or excluded. Final walkthroughs and scene release. Before leaving the scene, investigators conclude a final walkthrough. This step ensures that all evidence has been collected, documentation is complete, and no procedures were overlooked. Investigators review notes, photograph, and evidence log to confirm accuracy. Once the scene is released, investigators cannot return to collect additional evidence. This makes final review critical. Crime scene investigation provides the foundation of all forensic analysis. Without careful scene procedure, even the most advanced laboratory techniques cannot compensate for the loss or contaminated evidence. By securing the scene, using systematic search patterns, documenting it thoroughly, and collecting evidence responsibly, investigators preserve the truth from the very beginning of the investigation. In the end, crime scene investigation is not just about collecting evidence, it's about protecting the integrity of the case. When done correctly, it ensures that forensic evidence is served its ultimate purpose, uncovering the truth and supporting justice based on facts, not mistakes.